Okay, so I'm starting out with all of my items already laid out for making a paper bead. I do usually use magazines. You can use any kind of paper, but this time I decided that I wanted to use some of my scrap Christmas paper that I had left over, and I really liked this purple wrapping paper, and I thought it would make a pretty bead, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is like just an original piece, and this is the shape that I'm going with today that gives me the right shape for the bead that I want. This is just a triangular cut, and I did freehand this. I tend to freehand mine. All right, I also have here a coffee straw, stirring straw. There are other methods of rolling and other materials you can use to roll, but I like using the coffee stirrer straw because, as you'll see in the end, I don't have to remove it from the straw, and it actually provides a good base for beading with jewelry or anything else that I want to do with the finished bead. I also have some tacky glue that I'll be using to secure the layers of paper, and then I have my UV resin and my UV lamp, and that's an optional step, but I love the glossy, actual true bead-like feeling of the beads when they have been cured with UV resin. Okay, so first step is to start rolling your bead, and because I am not going to remove this from the straw, I can actually cheat a little, give myself some grip, because that can be the hardest part, getting started with rolling the bead. Okay, so I am going to get a good tight roll going, as tight as I possibly can on the stick. Starting is always the trickiest part, but once you get going, it goes pretty simply from there. Okay, so now I'm rolling, and the way this paper is cut actually will guarantee that the paper itself does the work of forming the shape of the bead and not me. That narrowing as we go down naturally forms a wider base and then a built up center. And I'll show you another trick after I finish rolling this one. I can stop at any point and add a little glue. Just to keep rolling. Okay. And I'll keep rolling until I get almost to the end, and then I will add a long line of glue. Doesn't need very much, and some of it will spill over, and that's actually a good thing because you will want to use some of that glue around the outside of your bead. Whoa. Yes, that does happen if you let go too fast, but it's okay. You just grab it again and continue to roll. It's actually a good thing that it happened while I was filming, because that can be one of the frustrating things. It's not that you've done anything wrong other than let go too soon before it was secured, and it happens. Okay, so now if you can see some glue on the outside of the paper, it's not a problem because this glue dries clear, absolutely clear. Okay, going to use some of that excess glue to carry on around the outside of this bead. And if I felt the need to, I could put a small drop on the outside anyway and just run my fingers around it. And no comment about the nails. I'm a crafter. I don't know how some of these girls do it with the long nails when they're crafting. I simply do too many things that just don't allow it. It's a long running joke in my household that my family can tell when I'm truly on vacation. If we go on vacation, if we go anywhere and I'm not going to work, the first thing I do is I go get a full set, or I do a full set myself actually. Since COVID hit, I've not been back in a nail salon, but I will do an elaborate set of nails with jewels and crystals and colors and everything, just to let the world know that for the next 3 to 5 business days, get somebody else to do it. Okay, so there we have basically made a paper bead. Now some methods will have you to then slide this off, but we glued this one down and we had no intention of sliding it off anyway. Now if you're not satisfied 100% with the colors, one of the things that I do is that I will sometimes cut smaller pieces of paper that I can then add to, or if it doesn't feel large enough in the center for me or whatever reason, it's very forgiving and you can always add more paper to change the color of your bead. Sometimes when I'm doing earrings, if the second bead doesn't look similar enough to the first, I will add smaller strips of paper to facilitate them being a little bit more identical. And I have actually changed the design of this bead by adding that strip of paper. The colors will be slightly different than they were before I added it, if I can get it to stick. Now I will say that this wrapping paper, it's the first time I've used wrapping paper, and this kind of has a little bit of a I don't know, a glossy feel to it, similar to magazine paper, but I do find that magazine paper is a little more, a little easier to lay down than this wrapping paper has been, but we'll get it. That's part of the fun, actually. Craft has to have some element of challenge for me, or I'll get bored with it. Okay, so let's get that down. Come on. Are you gonna go down for me? Okay, there we have it. Okay, so I'm gonna actually get a little closer so that, no, can you see that? There's a little tail sticking off there. Let me glue that down. Okay, so we have basically what looks like rolled paper. Not quite a bead yet, but watch what happens when I add the resin. I want to see if I can zoom in some. Can I zoom in a little bit? I don't know, maybe I should have zoomed in before I started recording.